People are going to betray you. This isn't a cynical prediction. It's not a disheartening possibility. It is in the stark, unyielding clarity of human nature and absolute certainty. And the sooner you accept this fundamental, often brutal truth, the sooner you can shed the crippling identity of a victim. Why? Because human beings at their very core are profoundly, instinctively selfish. And no, I'm not talking about that childish, petty selfishness of not wanting to share a piece of cake. I'm talking about a deep, primal, ancestral selfishness. A wild, unyielding instinct programmed into our very DNA thousands of years ago, designed to prioritize one's own survival, one's own benefit, one's own gain, above and beyond any fleeting concept of loyalty or affection you might mistakenly believe to be immutable. You operate under the naive illusion that betrayal is an aberration, an unfortunate exception, something that only happens when something within a relationship fundamentally breaks. You couldn't be more profoundly mistaken. Betrayal is not the exception. It is in the grand, uncaring theater of human interaction the inherent norm. Loyalty, that is the fragile, ephemeral exception. And Friedrich Nietzsche, that piercing observer of the human condition, he didn't just understand this, he shouted it. He wove it into the very fabric of every page he ever wrote, between the lines of every challenging aphorism. His chilling, undeniable message echoes through the ages. Don't trust the polished mask of civilization we all meticulously wear. Behind it there are teeth, and they are exquisitely, brutally sharp. Have you been betrayed? If so, welcome. Welcome to a truth that slices deeper than any blade. Welcome to the raw, unfiltered reality of human nature, stripped bare of all comforting illusions. Are you here perhaps desperately searching for a logical, an emotional, or even a spiritual explanation for what happened? Are you trying to rationalize the irrational, to fit it into a neat, understandable box of cause and effect? I must tell you with unflinching honesty, you won't find it here. You won't find it anywhere because betrayal doesn't originate from a place of cold, calculated reasoning. It doesn't spring forth from a logical decision tree where pros and cons are weighed. No. Betrayal erupts from far more primitive, far more potent forces. It comes from fear. It comes from insatiable desire. It comes from an internal, often unconscious, need that in that crucial defining moment weighed infinitely more than any whispered promise, any sacred vow, any fragile loyalty someone ever offered you. Do you want to know the unvarnished truth? Here it is, delivered without comforting lies or softening platitudes. They didn't betray you because you did something inherently wrong. They didn't betray you because you weren't good enough or smart enough or lovable enough. They betrayed you because in that specific moment it suited them to do so. And that, believe it or not, is the entirety of it. Most people, contrary to popular belief, don't betray you out of a malicious, premeditated evil. They don't wake up plotting your downfall with villainous glee. No, their betrayal is born of a far more mundane, yet devastating force, convenience. Perhaps at a certain inflection point, you simply stop being useful to them. Maybe another person, a new opportunity, or a different path suddenly appeared, offering them more immediate, tangible benefit. Or perhaps, and this is often the most painful reality, their own primal fear of losing something, be it status, comfort, opportunity, or even just peace of mind, was profoundly greater than any perceived loyalty they owed you. It's not personal, not in the way you desperately want it to be. It's not a reflection of your inherent worth. It's something far worse. It's structural. It's woven into the very foundation of how the human mind operates, how it prioritizes, how it justifies. And yet, despite this immutable reality, you keep being surprised. You continue to place your trust, your vulnerabilities, your deepest hopes, as if the world were built upon a bedrock of universal principles, unbreakable morals, ironclad ethics. But the world, my friend, is not made of abstract principles. It is made of stark, self-serving interests. Loyalty in this brutal landscape is not a given, it is a luxury, and tragically few, very few, can truly afford it. Do you want some brutal, utterly unsentimental advice? Here it is, etched in the unforgiving stone of reality. Never, under any circumstances, expect someone to act in your favor if that action directly conflicts with their own deeply ingrained self-interest. Because the day, and it will come, the day their interests clash violently with your well-being, with your happiness, with your very existence, they are going to crush you. They are going to obliterate you, and they won't even feel a twinge of guilt. Why? Because the human mind is an unparalleled expert at justifying its own actions, at weaving intricate narratives that absolve it of all responsibility. They are going to betray you. They are going to turn their back on you, cold and unwavering. And on top of that, they are going to meticulously convince themselves they did the absolute right thing. They'll whisper sweet, self-serving lies to themselves. I had no choice. It was an unavoidable accident. I really didn't want to hurt them. And here's the most agonizing part. They will believe it. They will tell themselves that comforting fable, that elaborate psychological construct to sleep soundly at night. But you are the one left sifting through the bitter ruins of what was, carrying the crushing weight of shattered trust and broken dreams. Let me make this even clearer if such a thing is possible. If you're standing there waiting for the world to be fair to you, simply because you, with your noble intentions, are fair to others, then let me warn you, you are on the direct, express path to becoming a martyr, a forgotten, silently suffering martyr. No one, absolutely no one, is going to return the favor for your inherent goodness. No one is going to suddenly respect your meticulously crafted principles if those principles do not perfectly align with their immediate desires, their pressing needs, their deeply rooted fears. And then the question that stings the most, the one that rips at the very fabric of your wounded soul, finally emerges. Why did that person, that specific person, betray me? You replay every conversation, every interaction, searching for the crack, the flaw, the reason. But the answer, though simple, is brutally impactful because they could, because there were no immediate tangible consequences, because in their internal calculus it was cheap for them to do so. And here, my friend, comes the first truly devastating psychological blow. People are only as loyal as you make them be. You, with your innocent heart, you think loyalty blossoms spontaneously from love, from deep affection, from a shared history of countless moments and whispered secrets. No. That is a comforting fantasy. Loyalty, in its most fundamental and enduring form, often comes from a far more pragmatic place, the fear of losing something, the fear of losing a valuable relationship, a cherished privilege, a hard-won position, a carefully cultivated status. When someone betrays you without a second thought, without a flicker of hesitation, what they are, in essence, telling you with their actions is this: you weren't that important. Or at least not as important as what I stood to gain or stood to lose by not betraying you. And that raw, unadulterated revelation hurts more than the betrayal itself, because it rips away the veil from something you desperately, fundamentally, did not want to see. You catastrophically overvalued your place, your significance, your perceived indispensability in their life. Nietzsche, with his characteristic precision, once observed, "It is not the lack of love, but the lack of friendship that makes marriages unhappy." Now take that profound insight and for a moment change marriages to any relationship, any bond, any connection you hold dear. There, in that seemingly simple rephrasing, lies the key. People fail you, abandon you, betray you because they were never truly with you in the first place. Not authentically, not wholly. They were with the idea of you. They were with the transactional version of you, with what they could extract from you, with the comfortable, convenient version of you that perfectly suited their immediate needs and desires. But as soon as that version changes, as soon as you evolve, as soon as you become inconvenient, as soon as you set a boundary, as soon as you stop serving their hidden agenda, they vanish. They look you directly in the eyes, they tell you with practiced sincerity that you can trust them, that they'll be there for you, come hell or high water. But what they conveniently omit, what they never dare to utter aloud, is the implicit, chilling condition. As long as it doesn't cost me anything significant. Have you ever truly noticed how, at the hardest, most devastating moments in your life, when you are truly tested, most people, the vast majority, simply disappear? They evaporate like mist at dawn. This is because true, unadulterated loyalty has an immense, non-negotiable price. It demands sacrifice, it demands discomfort, it demands inconvenience. And the uncomfortable truth is that most individuals are simply not willing to pay that price. They prefer the easy out. They prefer to conjure up elaborate excuses, to construct intricate narratives for their absence. They'll tell themselves, and perhaps even you, that you've changed, that you're no longer the same person they once knew. That now you're suddenly toxic, or negative, or demanding, or too much. Whatever convenient label it takes to justify their profound, self-serving absence. And here, my friends, is yet another devastating punch of reality, delivered directly to the gut. Betrayal doesn't hurt primarily because of what we lose: a relationship, a connection, a perceived future. It hurts with an excruciating, transformative pain because of what it reveals. It rips away your carefully constructed self-image and reveals who you were in that relationship. Naive, perhaps idealistic to a fault, blindly trusting, profoundly dedicated, utterly vulnerable. And simultaneously, it unmasks who they truly were: opportunists, profoundly self-interested, emotionally unstable, cowards at their core. The most terrifying part of betrayal isn't the act of being stabbed in the back itself. It's the shattering, horrifying revelation that everything, or at least a significant part of everything, you believed about that person, about that relationship, about the world, was a carefully constructed lie. A fragile illusion that you desperately clung to. And that precise moment of brutal revelation is when the paranoia truly begins. You start to look at everyone with suspicion. You no longer know who is genuinely trustworthy and who is merely wearing a convincing mask. Because if that person, the one you trusted with the blind, unquestioning faith of a child, was capable of plunging a dagger into your back without a flicker of hesitation, then what dark deeds are others, mere acquaintances, capable of? Become utterly filled with distrust, a gnawing, suffocating feeling. And with that distrust comes inevitably a crushing loneliness. But here's the part no one or very few will ever dare to tell you. Loneliness at this profound, transformative juncture is not a burden, it is a profound privilege. Because after a real, deep, brutal, soul-shattering betrayal, you simply cannot afford the immense luxury of remaining surrounded by wolves disguised in sheep's clothing. Betrayal, in its rawest form, is a purge. It is a painfully necessary cleansing, a brutal yet ultimately liberating cut. And yes, it hurts with an intensity that can feel unbearable, because you still, in some stubbornly idealistic corner of your heart, love that person. You still cling to the idealized memory of who they were or who you thought they were. You still desperately wish they would somehow miraculously come back. But what you're wishing for isn't the actual person, the flawed, self-interested human being who betrayed you. No. You're wishing for the illusion, and that illusion, that ghost of a past that never truly existed, is slowly, insidiously destroying you from the inside out. You absolutely must let it go. Nietzsche, in his timeless wisdom, made it exquisitely clear: what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But here is the crucial, often overlooked twist, only if you understand it. Because if you fail to understand it, if you merely endure the pain without extracting the profound lessons, then what doesn't kill you simply leaves you broken, bitter, deeply distrustful. Not stronger, no, just more closed off, more cynical, more afraid. Do you truly want to utilize the searing pain of betrayal as a crucible for growth? Then you must stop. Stop idealizing. Stop justifying. Stop romanticizing the damage that has been inflicted upon you. Accept with brutal honesty that human beings possess an infinite, often terrifying, capacity to fail. No one, absolutely no one, is exempt from this fundamental flaw of the human condition. And yes, even you, at some unforeseen point in your life, may have inadvertently, or even consciously, been the betrayer in someone else's story. The capacity for betrayal resides within every single one of us. But so too, gloriously, does the profound decision of who you will allow to hurt you more than once. Here is a rule, a law of the emotional universe, that very few people are willing to accept, to internalize, to live by. If they betray you once, it is unequivocally their fault. That is on them. But if they manage to betray you twice, then, my friend, the fault, the responsibility, the blame falls squarely on your shoulders. Because here is the unshakable truth that defines your future. Your primary responsibility in this life is not to magically prevent yourself from ever being betrayed. That is an impossibility. Your responsibility, your sacred duty to yourself, is to ensure that you do not allow it to happen again. And that profound, transformative change is achieved in one, and only one way: by stopping the dangerous, self-sabotaging act of idealizing others. Look at people precisely as they are, not as you desperately, naively wish them to be. Ask the uncomfortable questions, the ones that prick at superficiality and reveal hidden motives. Observe their actions, not their polished words, especially when no one, absolutely no one, is watching them. Listen, truly listen to how they speak about others when those others are not present. Because, with chilling accuracy, that is precisely how they will speak about you when you are not around. And above all, learn the ultimate art of self-preservation. Learn to disappear. When someone betrays you, do not engage in explanations. Do not stoop to begging. Do not seek revenge, for that poisons only yourself. Do not, under any circumstances, try to logically comprehend something that sprang from pure cowardice, from self-interest, from a broken core. Simply disappear. The most brutal, psychologically devastating punishment you can inflict upon a traitor is your profound, deafening absence. Silence, the void, because traitors in their self-absorbed world do not anticipate real consequences. They expect drama, they expect tears, they expect attention, even if it's negative attention. Give them precisely what they do not expect: nothing. And from that nothingness, from the searing pain, from the raw, unadulterated rage, from the very abyss of despair, begin to build. Make that bitter. I'll not a scar of victimhood, but a profound platform. Not a platform to prove anything to them, for they are irrelevant now, but a platform to powerfully, irrevocably remind yourself that you are alive, that you are awake, that you are discerning, that you do not and will never again need anyone who fundamentally does not know how to uphold their word, how to honor their commitment, how to hold their own integrity. Remember this truth, internalize it until it becomes a part of your very being. Betrayal reveals, yes, it unveils uncomfortable truths, but it does not define you. You are not merely what they did to you. You are, in every fiber of your being, what you do with what they did to you. And if you can manage, through the ashes of devastation, to look betrayal squarely in the eyes without allowing yourself to become the very thing you despise, without becoming bitter, cruel, or closed off, then you, my friend, will have truly won. Because there, in the scorching middle of the fire, in the profound, deafening silence of abandonment, those who truly do not need anyone else to be invincible are forged. And you know what the most profoundly messed up, the most insidious part of all this is? It's not just the external rupture. When someone betrays you, they don't merely shatter your trust in them. Far more devastatingly, they shatter the very image you had meticulously constructed of yourself. Because if that person, the one into whom you poured your affection, your precious time, your deepest, most guarded secrets, was capable of systematically destroying you without blinking an eye, without a flicker of remorse, then what in the name of all that is sacred does that say about you? What does it say about your fundamental ability to judge character, about your discerning judgment, about your inherent worth? Betrayal, you see, has two sharp, incisive sides. One side, yes, points accusingly at the other person, but the other side, the more dangerous and insidious one, drives you inexorably inward. Because when someone betrays you, you don't merely think, that person failed me. No. You think something far, far more dangerous, something that begins to unravel your very core. I was naive enough to believe they wouldn't do it. And that thought, that specific thought, that self-indictment, is the one that truly breaks you inside. Because it forces you to doubt yourself, your fundamental ability to accurately perceive reality. It makes you question everything you once held dear and true. It paralyzes you. And here, my friend, comes the most devastating, soul-crushing part of all. Betrayal, many times, doesn't just destroy superficial relationships. It destroys identities. Your identity, your very sense of self, was so intricately tied to that person, to that shared story, to that bedrock of trust you believed you had built. And when all of that crumbles spectacularly, irrevocably, you are left without a base, without footing. You lose your way. You no longer know who you are because you can no longer even see yourself with the same eyes. You can't even rely on your own intuition anymore. Do you feel it, that profound internal fracture? It doesn't remain confined to the specific act of betrayal. It settles deep within how you see yourself. It becomes an echo, a constant, nagging doubt, a wound that is no longer merely on the skin, but deep within your fundamental perception of yourself and the world. And the worst part, the truly tragic part, is that you learn to live with it. You learn to distrust everyone, to not show too much of yourself, to not give everything, to live halfway. Believing with a tragic self-deception that this partial existence, this guarded life, truly protects you. But in reality, it only traps you, confines you, suffocates you. Do you know what truly betrayal does to you? It transforms you into the very thing you once swore, with every fiber of your being, you would never become. It makes you cold. It makes you calculating. It forces you to construct an impenetrable armor around your heart. But that armor, that formidable fortress which you mistakenly believe protects you from future pain, also tragically prevents you from truly feeling. It prevents you from truly connecting, from building genuine bonds, from creating something real, something authentic, something vulnerable and alive. Betrayal leaves you with a scar so profoundly deep, so intricately woven into your psyche, that if you're not extraordinarily careful, if you do confront it head-on, it tragically turns you into a betrayer too. Because when you reach that point where you truly don't trust anyone anymore, when every new relationship feels like an inherent risk, when you live in a constant state of anticipating the next brutal stab in the back, you eventually, inevitably, end up betraying yourself. You betray your very essence, your innate empathy, your capacity for genuine, open trust. It's the perfect. Insidious cycle of trauma. I was hurt, so now I must protect myself by hurting first. They won't betray me again because I won't give them anything at all they can possibly use against me. But there you stand, alone, armed to the teeth, encased in your self-made emotional fortress, and utterly terrifyingly empty inside. And here comes something even darker, even more subtle and insidious, self-deception. After being profoundly betrayed, your brain, in its desperate, primal need for survival, kicks into overdrive. And one of its most subtle, yet ultimately destructive, strategies is rewriting the traumatic story. You begin to repeat comforting lies to yourself. It wasn't that important. I saw it coming, so it didn't really surprise me. It didn't hurt that much. Actually, it was for the best, a blessing in disguise. But all of that, my friend, is a profound, self-inflicted lie. You do it, yes, to prevent yourself from shattering completely in that moment, and I truly understand that. We've all done it, we've all sought that fleeting comfort. But it is a slow, insidious poison. Because the more you repress the pain, the more you deny the truth of your wound, the more disconnected from your authentic self you inevitably become. You begin the dangerous process of creating false versions of yourself. Strong versions, yes, but versions that are, in tragic reality, deeply broken inside. Versions that can smile bravely while they bleed profusely, that can utter "I don't care" with conviction, while they are, in truth, crumbling silently into dust. Do you want to know what Nietzsche, in his relentless pursuit of truth and authenticity, would think of that elaborate charade? He would recognize it immediately as a tragic retreat from your true, unadulterated self. He would see it as a desperate repression of your inherent will to power, your vital life force. He would recognize it as a profound denial of your own humanity, all out of a debilitating, overwhelming fear of pain. Because betrayal, in its raw, unforgiving honesty, forces you to make an excruciating choice. Either you allow it to completely destroy yourself, or you choose with immense courage to transform. And here, my friend, comes another brutal, non-negotiable truth. You cannot, for all your vigilance and effort, avoid being betrayed in this life. That is simply part of the human condition. But you can absolutely decide what to do with the wound, with the raw, gaping chasm it leaves within you. You can choose to let it fester and rot inside you, poisoning every future connection, every fleeting moment of joy. Or with immense bravery, you can choose to use it as a mirror, a merciless yet ultimately liberating mirror that unflinchingly shows you who you truly were before the betrayal, who you were in that specific, doomed relationship, what uncomfortable truths you stubbornly ignored, what toxic behaviors you passively tolerated. What part of your precious self, your very soul, you tragically sold or compromised to desperately cling to something that was already, fundamentally, irrevocably broken. And I know with every fiber of my being that this sounds cruel, perhaps even unjust, but there is a part of you deep down that, by its silence, by its inaction, by its desperate hope, allowed that betrayal to reach its devastating conclusion. You didn't cause it, no, the betrayer is solely responsible for their actions. But you tolerated it, because at some deep, often unconscious level, we all possess a fundamental, intuitive knowing of who we are truly with. The profound problem is that we often choose to play tragically blind when it suits us, when the illusion is more comforting than the harsh reality. You cling with desperate tenacity to false signals, to fleeting moments of perceived goodness. You ignore the glaring, crimson-red flags that flap furiously in the wind. You rationalize, you justify, you even champion toxic, destructive behavior. Why? Because the deep, primal, aching human need for connection, for affection, for belonging, for not being alone, often weighs infinitely more than the crucial, self-preserving instinct to protect yourself. Until one day, inevitably, it all explodes. And there you are, left sifting through the jagged, painful pieces of a brutal truth you stubbornly, tragically refused to see. And then the deepest, most terrifying fear of all arrives, settling like a suffocating blanket. What if I can never truly trust anyone again? It's no longer just about the individual betrayer. It expands to the world, to the very structure of human interaction, to the invisible, fragile fabric of all your relationships. You feel with crushing certainty that everything is contaminated, that genuine loyalty has simply ceased to exist. But that, my friend, is not true. Betrayal in its raw, unfiltered impact certainly makes you perceive the world as a brutal battlefield, a treacherous landscape of hidden enemies. But the truth, as always, is far subtler, far more nuanced. Not everyone, absolutely not everyone, is going to fail you, but you do, with profound necessity, need to learn to look with new eyes. Look at what people do, not merely what they effortlessly say. See how they treat those who can offer them absolutely nothing in return, those who are powerless or vulnerable. Notice with piercing clarity how they behave when no one, absolutely no one, is watching them, when the spotlight is off and the mask can momentarily slip. Because that, my friend, is where the raw, unvarnished truth resides, in the invisible, in the unsaid, in the subtle currents beneath the surface. And yes, you will have to let go of many relationships. You'll have to prune your life ruthlessly, like a gardener tending a sacred plant. You'll have to endure being alone for a while, perhaps a significant while, in the quiet solitude of self-reconstruction. You'll have to meticulously rebuild your judgment, your discerning faculty, from the very foundations. But that and only that is the solitary, painful, yet ultimately liberating path back to your true self. Because in the end, betrayal is not overcome with furious, righteous rage. It is overcome profoundly with a conscious, deliberate reconstruction. Rebuild yourself, redefine your perception of yourself and others, redefine your sacred limits, what you will and will not tolerate, heal your shattered identity, piece by painful piece. And when you have done that, when you have truly undergone this profound alchemy, then and only then can you truly trust again, not like before, not blindly, not naively, but with a new profound strength, with crystal clear clarity, with protective filters, with wide, open eyes that see beyond the facade. Do not let betrayal define your entire story, your entire future. But also, crucially, do not ignore it either. Do not cover the pain with distracting noise, with busyness, with superficial distractions. Do not pretend it didn't leave its indelible mark on your soul. Because if you do, if you deny its impact, you are condemning yourself to tragically repeat it. Observe it, study it, learn from it, and then rise wiser. Rise colder, yes, perhaps, but with a strategic protective chill. Rise more selective, fiercely discerning, but never, never empty. Now let's dive even deeper, if you dare, into the profound, often unacknowledged darkness of this topic. We've extensively explored the overt psychological impact, the wounded ego, the arduous process of reconstruction. But now let's shift our piercing focus and illuminate an even more disturbing, more insidious phenomenon, silent betrayal. This is the betrayal that isn't noticeable at first glance, the one that doesn't arrive with a dramatic flourish or a shouted accusation. Instead, it slowly, insidiously eats you from within. This is the betrayal that isn't an overt, aggressive act, but rather a crushing absence, a profound omission, an invisible yet deeply felt abandonment. Because listen to me carefully with every fiber of your being, not all betrayals arrive with the glint of a polished dagger plunged directly into your back. Some, the most insidious ones, come disguised as a chilling indifference, as a deafening silence, as an unbridgeable, devastating emotional distance. And those, ironically, are often the most lethal. Why? Because you subconsciously prepare yourself for the classic betrayal, the obvious one, the one that erupts with conflict, with shouting, with an undeniable, brutal rupture. You brace for the impact, but you are utterly unprepared, completely defenseless for the passive betrayal, for that person who, when you desperately needed them the most, simply wasn't there, who didn't actively stab you but merely watched with detached observation as others did, who didn't actively speak ill of you but stayed profoundly, conveniently silent while everyone else did, who didn't commit an overt act of failing you, but simply incrementally stopped caring for you when you needed their support, their presence, their advocacy more than anything in the world. And here is the question that truly rips at your soul, that forces you to confront an uncomfortable truth. Who failed you more profoundly? The one who actively betrayed you, or the one who simply didn't defend you? That chilling silence, that profound absence, that dangerous neutrality thinly disguised as "I don't want to get involved," that is often the betrayal that inflicts the most profound, lasting damage, because it leaves you speechless. Because you can't point a finger, you can't accuse it. There's no tangible evidence, no smoking gun, just a visceral, undeniable feeling, a profound knowing that someone who absolutely should have been there unequivocally wasn't. And the saddest, most heartbreaking part of this silent betrayal is that sometimes that person will continue to tell you, with hollow words, that they love you, that they respect you, that they value you. But they do it from a profound distance, with words that ring hollow, with lukewarm gestures that lack all warmth, as if merely saying there is enough, while they are, in truth, profoundly, crucially absent. And do you know what truly hurts about this specific, insidious form of silent betrayal? That it forces you, with painful clarity, to admit that you were more alone than you tragically thought. That the web of support, the safety net you believed you had meticulously constructed, was nothing more than a fragile, devastating illusion. And here comes another brutal, inescapable theme: betrayal as profound disillusionment. Because when someone betrays you, it's not merely the act itself that inflicts the deepest pain. It's the catastrophic collapse of an expectation, the shattering of a narrative, the utter annihilation of a story you had painstakingly built, meticulously curated in your own mind. You had tirelessly told yourself, with the desperate hope of a child, that that person was different, that they wouldn't do it to you, that you were special, unique, somehow exempt from the universal laws of human self-interest. And that cherished story, it was profoundly, devastatingly false. You realize with a crushing weight that it wasn't a genuine relationship between two authentic people. It was a relationship between you and the idea you had meticulously constructed of that person. And that brutal realization opens the next, most dangerous crack in your foundation. You begin to distrust your own fundamental ability to accurately perceive reality. You no longer know if someone is truly loyal or if you simply desperately need them to be. You start projecting betrayal, anticipating it, even where there is none, even in the most innocent interactions. Because now your brain operates with a new, terrifying, self-preserving algorithm, better to prevent pain than bleed again. But living like this, my friend, is not living at all. Merely surviving a constant state of hypervigilance. It's building walls so impossibly high, so formidably thick, that eventually even you can't escape them, you can't get out. And here in this profound abyss comes the point that very few dare to touch, let alone acknowledge. Sometimes the real ultimate traitor is you with yourself. Because you knew deep down, you truly knew. There were undeniable signs, there were unsettling inconsistencies, there were uncomfortable silences that spoke volumes. But you didn't want to see them. You preferred to stay profoundly silent, to tragically endure, to painfully adjust yourself, to shrink, to contort. Why? Because the overwhelming, suffocating fear of losing that relationship, even a broken one, was tragically greater than your own sacred self-love, your own vital self-preservation. And that, my friend, is the hardest betrayal to ever admit, the one you inflicted upon yourself. And do you know precisely why you did it, why you allowed yourself to be the instrument of your own silent suffering? Because you were addicted to hope, addicted to a comforting fantasy, addicted to the naive idea that if only you gave your absolute best, if you poured your heart and soul into it, the other person would miraculously recognize and value it, would reciprocate in kind. But that, my friend, is a profound, tragic falsehood. Not everyone possesses the capacity to truly receive love, to truly see the inherent value you offer. There are individuals who, no matter how much you fill them with the purest, most unconditional love, will always remain profoundly thirsty. Why? Because their capacity for loyalty doesn't depend on your abundant giving, it tragically depends on their own profound emptiness. And there it is, the next devastating point to confront. There are people who betray not because you in any way failed them, but because their own soul is deeply, irreparably broken. And that, you must understand, is unequivocally not your responsibility. There are individuals who, by their very nature, simply do not know how to sustain anything genuinely healthy. That when they encounter something real, something authentic, something stable, they don't cherish it. They actively, often unconsciously, sabotage it. Why? Because it profoundly scares them. Because it feels foreign to them, alien to their ingrained patterns. Because they simply do not know how to handle the quiet solidity of something real. They are so tragically accustomed to the chaos, the drama, the perpetual instability, that when they finally find something truly stable, truly healthy, they instinctively destroy it. Not out of malice, not out of inherent evil, but out of deeply ingrained trauma, out of self-sabotaging programming, out of profound emotional misery that has become their default state. And you were there with your generous heart, thinking you could somehow save them, heal them, teach them to be whole. But you cannot save someone who, at their core, does not genuinely want to be saved. You cannot sustainably maintain a relationship with someone who is pathologically accustomed to throwing everything overboard the moment it even begins to genuinely work, the moment it demands real vulnerability and consistency. And the worst part of this particular type of betrayal is that when they finally betray you, they don't even perceive it as betrayal. They'll rationalize it effortlessly. They'll tell you that you suffocated them, that they didn't feel like themselves anymore, that they desperately needed space, that they simply weren't ready for something real. And you, with your soul shattered into 1,000 pieces, will be left there, utterly bewildered, while they simply keep going as if nothing profound, nothing devastating has occurred. Because yes, there are people who possess the chilling capacity to betray you and then sleep soundly like an innocent baby. Why? Because they don't feel what you feel. Because they don't operate with the same moral code, the same emotional compass. Because for them, loyalty is merely a convenient word, a fleeting concept, not a sacred, binding commitment. And that, my friend, that chilling realization is precisely where you must make a decisive break, a rupture, a profound reset of your entire being. Because if you don't, if you continue to passively allow these patterns, you will tragically keep attracting the exact same type of individuals. People who only want you when you're quiet, when you're undemanding, when you don't shine too brightly. And that, devastatingly, is yet another profound form of betrayal, betraying yourself to fit in. Do you truly grasp how many times you've subconsciously dimmed your own magnificent light to avoid making others feel uncomfortable or insecure? How many times you've deliberately hidden your inherent strength, your undeniable talent, your boundless ambition, so as not to provoke the insecurity of those around you? How many times you've permitted others to invalidate you, to minimize you, to utterly ignore your presence, just to avoid appearing too much, too powerful, too authentic? That, my friend, is also betrayal. But it's a betrayal that originates from within, a silent internal wound from you to you. And Nietzsche, in his raw, uncompromising honesty, articulated it with brutal clarity. Man suffers so terribly in the world that he has been forced to invent laughter. And I tell you this with every fiber of my being. We suffer so profoundly from betrayal that we've become accustomed to calling them experiences, or lessons, or simply things that happen. We sugarcoat, we rationalize, we minimize, but no, some things unequivocally shouldn't happen. And when they do, they demand with fierce insistence to be named for precisely what they are: betrayal, period. Do not put makeup on it. Do not edit the harsh reality. Do not justify its existence. Name it, for only when you name it, when you acknowledge its true nature, can you begin the arduous yet liberating process of healing it. And above all, you can decide. Decide with unwavering conviction not to place your precious soul, your trust, your vulnerability, in the hands of someone who doesn't even possess the integrity, the inner strength to hold their own word, their own commitments. Decide fiercely not to lower yourself, to shrink your magnificent being, merely to fit into someone else's narrow, limited perception of you. Decide irrevocably that you would rather be profoundly, majestically alone than badly accompanied, dishonored, and consistently mistreated. Because here comes one of the most uncomfortable, most liberating, and most terrifying truths of all. Most people, the vast majority, do not truly want someone genuinely strong. They want someone manageable. Someone predictable, someone who won't challenge their complacency or expose their weaknesses. And if you, with fierce conviction, decide to be utterly free, authentically yourself, profoundly unstoppable, then prepare yourself. Prepare yourself, because they are going to try to betray you. Not because you are weak, no, but precisely because your burgeoning strength, your unyielding authenticity, directly confronts them. It shines an unforgiving light on everything they are too terrified, too cowardly to ever be themselves. And there, in that moment of attempted sabotage, that's when you will know with chilling certainty that you are no longer the victim. You are the threat to their comfortable illusions, to their stagnant complacency. Betrayal, in its raw, transformative power, doesn't just reveal who others truly are. Far more importantly, it profoundly reveals you. It shows you your astonishing, inherent ability to rise from the ashes, to harden without becoming cruel, to become discerning without becoming cynical, to trust again, yes, but without the crippling burden of blindness, to love deeply and genuinely, but without ever compromising your sacred dignity, your inherent self-worth, because in the end, that is what truly saves you. It's not that they miraculously stop betraying you in the future. It's that you learn with every fiber of your being not to let betrayal steal what you fundamentally are. And that, my friend, that profound, unshakable realization, that is true power. And now that we've journeyed to this profound, often painful point, I'm going to share something with you that perhaps no one has ever dared to tell you, directly and without equivocation, in your entire life. Betrayal is the baptism of the strong. Yes, it hurts with an agonizing intensity. It breaks you into a million pieces. It empties you of all your old, comforting illusions. But profoundly, paradoxically, it also reveals you. It initiates you into a new, higher level of being. It rips the veil from your eyes once and for all, exposing the raw, unfiltered truth of existence. Because before betrayal, you were merely an edited, curated version of yourself. Someone who still desperately believed in comforting stories, in eternal promises, in unbreakable bonds that existed only in your imagination. But after you're utterly naked, alone, raw, but irrevocably, beautifully, brutally real. And that, as profoundly messed up as it sounds in the moment, is the true, glorious beginning of everything. Because the person who is courageously reborn after being profoundly betrayed is fundamentally not the same as the one who tragically fell. They are someone new. They are someone who no longer needs external mirrors, external validation to define their inherent worth, their intrinsic beauty. They are someone who no longer sells their precious soul, their integrity, for a little fleeting affection, for a temporary sense of belonging. They are someone who no longer tragically confuses mere company with genuine connection, superficial attention with authentic love, or a suffocating silence with true inner peace. Betrayal, you see, is a profound alchemy. It takes your innocent naivety and in the crucible of pain melts it down, transforms it into an unshakable, profound wisdom. It takes your raw, gaping wound, and if you possess the immense courage to look it squarely in the face, to truly understand its lessons, it bestows upon you something that cannot be bought, cannot be taught, cannot be earned in any other way: vision. Do you know what someone who has truly seen betrayal in all its insidious forms, in its overt acts, its silent omissions, its self-inflicted wounds, and has not only survived but triumphed does? They don't become paranoid, constantly expecting the worst from everyone. No, they become profoundly, strategically selective. They no longer desperately seek to fit in everywhere, to be accepted by every single person, because they have profoundly understood that not every place, not every person, truly deserves their authentic presence, their precious energy. They no longer beg for loyalty because they have intuitively understood that real, genuine loyalty is silent, unyielding, effortlessly present. It doesn't need grand promises, it simply is. Betrayal, if you possess the wisdom and courage to truly read its devastating lessons, shows you with crystal clarity precisely who deserves to see you up close, who merits your intimacy, your vulnerability. And it simultaneously unmasks those who were merely with you for convenience, for what they could extract, for their own transient benefit. And that, my friend, is precisely why what initially felt like an unbearable curse, a devastating blow from which you could never recover, was in truth a profound, necessary purification. And if you've made it this far, if you've journeyed with me through these uncomfortable yet profoundly truthful depths, then there is something powerful, something undeniable, stirring deep inside you that knows it. That something fundamental has shifted, that something has reordered itself within your very being. That you can no longer look at the world, at others, or most importantly at yourself, in the same way you did before. Because you are unequivocally not the same person who pressed play and started watching this video. And that, my friend, that profound internal transformation, that is utterly priceless. So listen carefully with every fiber of your newly awakened being. The next time anyone fails you, betrays you, dishonors you, do not react like before. Do not beg for desperate explanations that will never satisfy. Do not deliver eloquent, self-righteous speeches that will fall on deaf ears. Do not stoop to threatening to leave, for your actions will speak louder than any words. Do not, under any circumstances, cry in front of someone who, by their actions, has proven they do not possess a soul deep enough to console you. Just leave, without noise, without dramatic announcements, without a single backward glance. Because betrayal is only truly lethal to the one who does not, or will not, know how to profoundly leave. And if you have been waiting, yearning for a sign, for a profound permission to finally leave behind everything and everyone that no longer truly respects you, that no longer honors your inherent worth, this is it. This is the sign. This is your divine permission. This is your silent scream, your declaration of independence, your definitive farewell to everything that sought to make you small, to diminish your radiant light. Now, it is unequivocally your turn. It's time for you to finally embrace being the person who does not need external applause, external validation, to move forward to flourish. The person who does not seek redemption, forgiveness, or understanding from those who, by their very actions, have demonstrated they have no soul, no integrity to offer it. The person who does not beg for justice from those who already live in perpetual debt with their own broken conscience. The journey through the landscape of betrayal, this profound Nietzschean unveiling, reminds us that some of life's most fundamental, most challenging questions have no easy, comforting answers. Instead, they serve as a powerful invitation, urging us into a continuous, rigorous process of questioning, of profound reflection, and of perpetually refining our understanding of the world, of others, and most importantly, of ourselves. The true value, the ultimate reward, lies not in clinging to a definitive, simple answer, but in the arduous yet incredibly rewarding journey of rigorous thought, and in the deeper, more profound insights gained along the way. Now, with this raw, unfiltered perspective, what are your thoughts on the profound nature of betrayal, on its transformative power? Which of these perspectives, from the inherent selfishness of man to the insidious nature of silent betrayal, to the brutal alchemy of self-reinvention, resonates most deeply with you, and why? Share your most profound philosophical insights, your raw experiences, your deepest questions in the comments below. We are here to truly hear your voice, to engage in thoughtful, courageous discussion, and to build a community of awakened minds. If this unflinching exploration has sparked a new way of thinking for you, if it has stirred something primal and true within your soul, then consider subscribing to channel name for more courageous journeys into philosophy's most intriguing, most challenging, and most liberating dilemmas. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video, our next deep dive into the truths that define us. And if you found immense value in this raw, honest discussion, please give it a thumbs up. Your engagement helps more curious minds, more seekers of truth, discover this crucible of transformation. And if you've truly made it this far, know that it wasn't a coincidence. This video wasn't merely entertainment, it was a mirror, a detonation, a profound ritual of awakening. Now you choose what to do with what you have seen, with what has been stirred within you. But if you truly feel that this has touched you, like it has profoundly stirred something within your depths that you've been burying for far too long, then do this one thing: subscribe. Because this channel isn't for everyone. It's for those who are truly ready to break their masks, to shatter their excuses, to transcend their self-imposed limits. And if you are ready to leave your indelible mark, to declare your awakening, leave a comment below with this powerful phrase: I am no longer the person I was when this video started. That way I'll know with profound certainty that you are one of those who have truly awakened. See you in the next one, in the next exploration of truth. Remember this always: the next time they betray you, the next time they underestimate you, the next time they ignore you, make absolutely sure with every fiber of your being that they don't find you in the same place. Disappear from where they don't value you, from where your light is dimmed, and appear where no one, absolutely no one, ever expected you to rise. That, my friend, is where true power begins, and you've just crossed that sacred threshold. Welcome, or better yet, welcome back to yourself. See you in the shadows where truth is forged.